What's the price like? Hey, superstar.
We're gonna get started. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Big great crowd. I know it'll fill in a bit into September. It's amazing again how quickly this year is going by, but we still have a third of the year left, right? September, yeah, 4 months. So still plenty of time, plenty of opportunity, right? There's always opportunity. It's like you find what you're looking for, and if you look for the opportunity, I assure you, you will find it. I certainly look for it myself, and I find it all over the place. So with that said, I always start off with a piece about mindset, and I wrote something about initiative. I guess it was the day before yesterday. It's Tuesday, right? I'm thinking it's Monday. And one of my slogans and something I really am very passionate about is make it happen, right? Regardless of circumstances, make it happen, right? Those are the people that I choose to be around for sure. And those are the people I assume most of us want to be around. People that make it happen despite the obstacles, despite the circumstances. And those are people that take initiative, right? And that focus on what they can control. And they recognize that life isn't fair. Make the most with what you have. It's more than enough to accomplish anything you're committed to. And no one said it was going to be easy. So that's how I live my life. And it's what I try to instill in my son and anyone that I choose to be around. So with that said, let's go to the next slide. And I definitely want this to be interactive. So I'm going to welcome some comments and questions. People who take initiative, really, they put destiny into their own hands. They set themselves up to succeed, right? They're coachable. I'm always a big proponent. I choose to pour my time into those that are coachable, regardless of how much they've accomplished. People who are coachable naturally want to learn. They seek to understand. They're curious. And then most importantly, they take what they learn and they put it into action. They apply what they learn, right? Because knowledge, the saying knowledge is power, I would beg to differ. I would say knowledge, applied knowledge is power, right? Knowledge without doing anything with it doesn't get you very far. It's a great starting point, but you got to put it into action, right? Initiative creates ripples. When you take initiative, people recognize that. They want to be around that. People gravitate toward that. That continues to create compounding opportunity, right? For everyone around, right? So those are the ripples, the exponential impact it has. Again, the law of attraction, it's a magnetic force that, yields more and more opportunity. Any thoughts, guys? Any comments? On. Somebody. Jimmy.
Hey, action, right? I believe in building momentum, and that just starts from taking the first step. And then over time, you just start to see things just start to appear out of nowhere, right? And some people, they might call it luck, but you knew you took the first step 45 days ago, and then things finally start to occur. So yeah, take some action,
Love it. Next slide, which is a perfect segue. Personal responsibility. What Jimmy said, I think it's actually on the next slide, is leadership. I'm going to go out of order here. That's just fine. Leaders take the initiative to take the first step. They're not waiting for someone else to take the first step. I watch people. I do that for a living, as do all of us, but, particularly in a leadership position. And I always watch, everyone's looking at each other and who's going to take the first step? And quite frankly, oftentimes no one, and nothing ever happens, right? Leaders take initiative. They have the courage to take the first step. And typically when you take the first step, it creates that chain reaction oftentimes. And then people start to reciprocate. And then it just starts to create, opportunity and impact. But if no one takes the first step, nothing happens, right? So take the first step, to Jimmy's point, right? Again, we control our destiny. People who take initiative, they understand that they control their destiny. There's a high degree of personal responsibility. They're not looking at other people. They're not blaming other people. They're not saying, hey, this person has this and I don't. They take initiative. They have a high degree of personal responsibility. And I love this, life happens for them, not to them, right? Victims allow life to happen to them. Leaders, people who take initiative, life happens for them. It's solution focused, right? Once again, it's just all the same, just different ways of saying the same thing. It's about you can find the problem or you can find the solution. You choose, right? You find what you're looking for. People who take initiative of a high degree of personal responsibility, they are looking for the opportunity. They are looking for the solution. And that's why they go a lot further, a lot faster. It's a choice, guys. At the end of the day, personal responsibility and what we decide to do is a choice. So we don't have to do anything. We choose to do everything we do. So wherever you are now, that's a product of your decisions. That's a product of your choices. So if you're not happy with that, what are you going to do about it? Right? Right? At the end of the day, that's the truth. And none of us are perfect, believe me. Like there's plenty of things that that I'm going to choose to do differently moving forward so I can become the best version of me. But at the end of the day, again, that's the powers within you, right? And as you know, anyone who's been around flow coaching, Paul and I always say to each other, okay, what are we going to do about it? So that comes back to like, it's an internal locus of control within yourself. Any comments on that, Robert?
I like the simplicity of focus on the solution and not the problem, because that's very complicated, but it's very simple too. If you're doing the steps to solve something by having a solution and you're solution oriented, instead of just standing there thinking about the problem, and then it makes the problem just worse, you're moving forward and curing it. And all of us should have that mindset, hopefully.
I will tell you very honestly, I have a ton of responsibility in my life, a lot of pressure, a lot of quote unquote stress. And my solution always is, truthfully, what am I going to do about it? When I create a step forward, I create a plan and what I'm going to do next about it, it makes me feel so much better because I feel I'm putting the control back in my hands. I'm telling you, honestly, that's how I live my life. Truthfully, like I have a bunch of stuff going on at one of my other offices and it's always about, okay, what are the next steps we can do to put the control back in our hands to create a solution around that? And when I feel like I'm stuck or whatever, then I'm really not in a good place. So I'm always like, okay, what action steps, what plans can we put in place that are going to give us some sense of progress moving forward? So I totally live my life that way. I can promise you that. So this is not just hollow words. It's how I choose to live. And I highly encourage it for other people. Yes, and when you're in action and you're focused, to Robert's point, on creating a solution, you don't have nearly as much time to worry about the problem. Yes, me.
I'm going to share something a little bit personal, but it's exactly this. So I just survived Burning Man and I just came back. I'm alive, I'm here. No, so what happened, like Friday night started heavy raining. So everybody got this big problem because we're stuck in the mud. Nobody can leave. Water, gas, food, everything started to running out. And we have this unknown, like the problem is just getting bigger and bigger and nobody knows how long it's gonna take and nothing to do. They say like stay in place, just stay, conserve water and food. And so, yeah, and we all like 73,000 people and we're in this big problem together. And they say it's gonna rain again on Sunday. So we have these problems that are gonna get even worse. And we're stuck in the desert. And like you said, we have responsibility. I have 2 little babies at home. I need to go back. We have life. We have stuff to do. And then you say, it's just making a decision. So we're like, okay, we're stuck, nothing to do. Everybody is stuck here around me, but we want to get out of this situation. So we decided like Saturday, 4 a.m., just to hike outside. We put like a trash bag and we walk like 6 miles all the way to the road. And then we take like 3 hitchhiking all the way to Reno and we catch a flight. We abandoned everything behind. But this moment is like, we need to make a decision. We have a problem. It's going to get worse and we can stay stuck and be stuck, or we can just take action. And when we left, nobody else left yet. Like we got to the Reno, it was like empty, and we're like, from these 73,000 people, we're like the first one that left.
Right.
But we just took this initiative
and look, I love
wanted
it.
to find a solution.
Decision.
Back to work.
Make a decision, be decisive also. And there's not only one right path. That's the key. So it's not like, it's not binary. It's like, I'm going to take the right path or the wrong path. There are infinite successful
We didn't know that.
Make
how to
your
do. We just, like,
choice the right one for you. That's a big
It's
philosophy.
like, we just need to do it. We didn't know how long, we didn't know it's 6 mile, we didn't know how hard it's gonna be. We didn't know how we're getting to read, we didn't have any plan, we just like,
One step at
we
a
are
time.
going out and we just made a decision, like, we're sitting on like, okay, it's now.
What did you leave behind?
RV, 6 bike and all my personal belongings.
So you left everything. Is everybody still?
Are you going back?
No.
My husband drove back this morning, he,
Email.
but whatever, he fly back,
He got back.
rent a car,
Right.
and he got stuck, and now the 2 car came and pulled him out, and now he's in the way from Renovate.
He's there.
Right, yeah.
But we lost
So
a
no
few
more
bikes
burning
and other stuff, lost in the rain.
You're safe and you're here.
Wow, there you go.
Wow, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Was someone else gonna comment on, oh, yeah, Herschel.
I was gonna say, sometimes, I mean, that's always you want to focus on the solution, but sometimes you don't know the solution. And so sometimes you will focus on the problem. I'm just saying on another contrasting note is that sometimes, you have to just take a step away from it. And like, you could sit there for an hour, like, what is the solution?
That's fine. Just keep asking yourself, what's the solution? That's,
You might have to just take a step back because all you can think about is the problem because you can't figure out the solution.
I didn't say
And come
that.
back. I'm not saying you didn't say that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, sometimes you just have to come back to it sometimes and circle back around, and maybe you might have that moment where the solution, and then it's more effective because at some point you might be fretting about something because you can't even figure out what the solution is, and maybe you might need to just take a day and come back to it, and then maybe the solution might reveal
Yeah.
itself.
And my point is, it's not necessarily easy, to your point. But keep asking yourself the question. If you keep asking the question, eventually you'll find, and consult other people,
Mhm.
right? Be
Yes.
collaborative. I'm a huge,
Sometimes in stillness is when things come to you the most,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're not distracted by everything, you have a clear mind.
and I'm saying focus on it. So like, don't continue to say, keep asking, what's the solution? Not
Mhm.
wallow in the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was just saying.
Yeah. Ross.
There's a great book that you all should read, written by a guy named Mark McCormick, who owned International Management Group in Cleveland, Ohio. It's called Everything They Didn't Teach You in Harvard Business School. You should read that book, and I'll tell you, there's things like if you're tired after lunch, take a nap at your desk. Don't give me the fastest answer, give me the correct answer. I don't care if it takes a week. Don't come running back to me and give me, there's a lot of talk about solution.
Yeah.
Solution is a wonderful place to live in. And I just spent 40 years working every day in entertainment where we had to come up with a solution to get doors open and the show up.
Yeah, and
Every
again,
day it changed,
right,
right?
doesn't mean that they're readily at your fingertips, to Herschel's point, but keep asking yourself the questions.
Well, be ready to negotiate and know that everything that you thought you planned for may not work out. So there's always plan B.
Expected.
Always plan B. And plan B usually works better than plan A.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. All right, last slide. This is a big one for me. And again, I'm not perfect in this by any stretch, but I'm always reminding myself this. Leaders are proactive, not reactive. It's easy for someone to, react to a situation, fix the problem, but true leaders, have vision and they're proactive to eliminate the problem forever happening. And again, no one's perfect at that, but that to me is real leadership. And that comes with taking initiative. They're very synonymous to me. Being proactive is people who take initiative. They're not, again, what we said earlier, waiting for someone else to take the first step. They have a strong moral compass. They have a strong vision. They have a strong purpose, and they are proactively taking the steps, understanding that great accomplishments are about playing the long game. So what you do now will not have consequences and not have results till some point in the future. But the sooner you do it, the sooner you reap the rewards, right? So I always say, play the long game with urgency and with initiative. Being decisive per what made that decision, and I love that. Personal responsibility, as we discussed, and just a lot of action. One of my slogans again is action is the antidote. So if in doubt, take action. If in doubt, take action. When you take action, you collect data, you gain experience, and from that, you gain confidence, you gain resilience, you gain skill. These are the things that help us all achieve at the highest levels. Whoever's taken the most action is going the furthest and typically getting there a lot faster. And as Gary Keller would say, the quality is in the quantity, right? So as you take more and more action and you remain humble and self-aware, you will naturally adapt and pivot and iterate and improve. And without the action, you got no data to use to improve upon. So take action, take initiative. And again, we talked about the exponential impact it has. And we talked again about the last point, just be coachable, be curious, and be willing to step in and engage and step into uncertainty. It's the only way you grow, right? Amit stepped into uncertainty. She didn't know what was going to be outside, how long was he going to take to get outside of that place, let alone how she would get to Reno, all those things. But when you're willing to step into uncertainty, it's amazing how much you can accomplish. It's amazing how capable all of us are, first and foremost, mentally, emotionally, and physically. None of us will ever fully tap into those full boundaries, but the closer we can get, the more we realize how much capacity we have. And if we continue to build those muscles physically, literally, and figuratively, that's how we understand our true potential.
And don't panic. I think that was, a good, learning. Don't panic. I mean, even in our business, you could be, aware of the situation, but
what's panicking going to do for you?
Yeah.
Nothing. Doesn't mean we're not maybe shaking in our shoes a little bit, and that's natural. Grace under pressure. Focus on what you can control. Don't allow the extraneous noise to seep in. It's again, none of this is easy, but people are watching you, like your clients, as Michael said, they're watching how you handle adversity. They're seeing if you're listening, if you're being thoughtful, and if you're escalating, or if you're bringing things down and you're intelligently responding and not reacting, right? Reacting is letting your emotions and your impulses drive what you do, as opposed to being thoughtful and purposeful and responding with discipline and using data and facts to dictate what you do thereafter, right? Big difference. And grace under pressure. And all of this stuff just takes practice, guys. No one's perfect at it. And there's room for improvement for every single one of us. So wherever you are, just get a little bit better every day through practice. Any other comments on this? Got it.
So something, I think you were mentioning it, that in the meeting that you went with Keller Williams, what they were talking about is through the lead generation that you.
Oh, mega camp. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So
like I do cold calling, which I don't like, door knocking, which I don't like, but I do it.
you like the results.
I did get some lead.
Yeah.
But I took the initiative and I started having in my neighborhood Tequila Tuesday, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And neighbors that have been trying to get to talk to me for the past few years called me and said they want to come to the next Tequila Tuesday. So it's fun and it's social and it's generating leads.
Tequila Tuesday.
And the point Shannon was making, some of these top people, and it's one of the core ways I try to live my life, where work and play, as I say, become indistinguishable. So whatever, use what you love to do and your passions, whatever that may be uniquely for you, as a form of lead generation. Like, so invite people into what you do. And be purposeful about having conversations with them about real estate, but do it in the context and the environment of something that you are really excited about and that's purposeful. Jerry,
I was just gonna say, I found myself having the same issues. I took a closer look at they say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I kind of analyzed that a little bit and I started to pay attention to who I should be spending more time with. And that has changed. So now I'm looking at things a lot differently because of the leadership that you're talking about. I've sought out different leadership and I'm getting inspired by and learning new techniques that I didn't realize I was in a rut until I changed that. So that's another thing that you can do is just maybe take a closer look at that, where you're getting your advice from and where you go when you're asking questions. And I've just been doing it recently and 2 guys are here today that have inspired me. So take a look at the sum of 5 that you're hanging out with.
yeah, or even more broadly.
Got your environment.
Yeah, another way of saying that, totally.
Jerry,
Yeah.
call me.
Yeah.
That's
Took the initiative to get here, right? And if you're not here, they haven't taken, that's okay. There's no judgment in that, but that is a choice that every single person, we're adults. We live in a society that generally speaking, we have a lot of freedom and a lot of liberties. And that's, quite frankly, a lot of others don't have that level. And we do. So take, use that to your advantage, guys. That's your choice, right? So if you don't like something, again, what are you going to do about it? What initiative are you going to take? Because if you don't take any initiative, nothing's going to happen. In this business, you think business is going to fall in your lap, no matter how good any brokerage may be, you're kidding yourself, right? You've got to take initiative. You've got to be the spark, and then other things will happen around that. Okay, awesome. Next slide. I think we're done with that. Okay. So always, again, I hear victim market. How's the market? Where's the market? There's opportunity in every market, and we are case in point. Okay. So I'm not going to name every name, but these are the weekly closings last week of August, second to last week of August, last week of August. So let's give all these guys, I know it's probably a little hard. And guys, again, no matter what happens, there's plenty of opportunity. And oftentimes the people that either started or continue to thrive in a shifting and down market, it serves them very well when the market changes, right? Because they've learned skills and resilience that others have not. So again, there's the opportunity in any challenge, right? There is an opportunity in every challenge if you choose to act purposely. So love it. Michael, do you want to take a
Yes, hey guys, everyone had a good holiday. So I just wanted to, there was a couple of things. Veronica told me that we got contacted by a homeowner who has a no soliciting notice on his door, and somebody from our office left a business card or flyer there.
I mean, you're a dog boy.
So please, when you're out there doing your stuff, respect that. Do not, the same thing with the do not call list. It's important that we don't do that because there are fines involved. One of the things with our E&O policy that we switched to, we have a $50,000 deductible with per claim. If something should happen, we get sued. There's ways to reduce that deductible using our different home warranty policy that we have. I sent out last month or 2 months ago in July, information about that. I'm going to resend it out again. It's important that when you go on listing presentations, you tell your sellers that part of our E&O policy, there's a $25,000 coverage for a seller. And if you use a certain home warranty plan, if you request a 13-month home warranty plan, that $25,000 coverage for the seller increases to $50,000. So it's a good marketing tool. I know Robert loves the Keller Williams branded marketing stuff. So I'll send it out in an email to the office. Use it in your listing presentations.
I have a question regarding that. So I spoke to Gloria and she told me about it. That policy, the CREST policy has to be in place post-close of escrow for the buyer in order for that agent deduction of $5,000 or $2,500 to be in place.
The home warranty policy.
The home warranty policy.
Yeah, so usually the home warranty policy, is ordered by the buyer's agent. They usually do that. But what you should do is when you are the listing agent and doing counters, just counter the way seller selects all services, escrow, title, just select, the home warranty. And there's 3 different companies. I think it's First American, Old Republic and another one that just request. I mean, if they don't do it, if it's a non-negotiable term, that's something that you can't help. But it benefits the seller. So I would just negotiate that into a counter offer when you're responding to a buyer's offer, because it just helps the seller. It gives them $25,000 more coverage. Again, just be aware of it when you're going on listing presentations. All right, any questions?
Thank you.
I'm getting ready for Halloween.
So we just continue to hammer this home because it will take time and it's continuing to gained traction. So Serena, do you want to tell us a little bit about our pocket listing service?
So we still have this going on. It's accessible through our website. And we just want to make sure that you guys are aware of it and that if you want to use it, you are using it, you know how to use it.
And this is basically, we have.
So it's for all the off markets. In this office right now, we might expand it later. You have to have a signed agreement and it would be, and then it goes up on the site.
Right, so this is an opportunity for us to have inventory that our competitors do not. Sonia, go ahead.
Okay, question. So can I get an off market?
And to market something to 700 agents, go ahead.
So when you get an off market.
So the issue is when I do get off markets, it's usually because they don't want to list it. So I don't have a signed listing, but they'll give me a certain number of days. They'll give me an opportunity for a
Sure.
limited
Yep.
time to
Yep.
see if I could find a buyer for
Yep.
it. But why do we have to have a listing agreement for it? Because we could find a buyer potentially through this office if we have that opportunity for
Well,
a
for this
seller.
platform, because we have a lot of people. Robert, do you want to answer that for?
Well, I've been a little gray in that area, but the thing is, we're all professionals, but if you got one person who's not, and they try to go in there and sign it and claim they had a relationship.
It's just created a lot.
Like, we want the agents here to have
There's a couple.
confidence in these and know that they're not gonna find like a stale one or one that your aunt's sister like will let you put there. And with the signed listing agreement, we
It's a
can
lot more surety.
verify that. Well, obviously Josh can do whatever he wants, but
It just.
if there's always an exception to the.
It's going on the MLS.
No,
no,
no.
Not necessarily. Yeah, no.
I
Hardware doesn't
understand,
go on it.
but
There's-
if I get a site listing, it's going on the MLS.
But no, but there are situations where you can get a signed listing agreement and keep it off of the MLS.
Yeah.
Right, for like-
So having the listing agreement protects you, just as, you know, buyers start getting used to using, or buyer's agents should get get used to the buyer broker agreements, because that's the direction we're heading. Having the listing agreement is just gonna protect you. Single party is another option, but that's not really gonna protect you. If you put it on this platform, it's gonna be available for anybody to come poach potentially, and without a listing.
Just to confirm, how many days do we have in using the seller?
We had a lot of issues
exclusion
before.
From the MLS, how long can that be valid for?
So if you sign a listing
Did
agreement,
you sign the seller exclusion from this SLA SLM form or the
So.
Business days.
SL?
you could exclude, you can keep it off of the MLS, when you have that SELM form.
Indefinitely.
Yeah, indefinitely. It's only coming soon that they'll put it
Right,
on
that's-
within 30 days.
So-
But that's listed on the MLS if it's on coming soon
Yeah.
status.
So what would you say is the difference between the single party agreement and your agreement?
Well, single party is basically used more so for a buyer's agent that is bringing their buyer to a seller. So the single party is between,
What about the buyer?
you as a buyer's agent and the seller
Right.
themselves.
If you have a listing.
If you're going to another broker that has the relationship with the seller, you're gonna use the cooperating broker compensation agreement. And that will, say that, because I would assume that the seller's broker is gonna be getting paid, and then they would potentially pay us. But I don't wanna, get too far off this subject.
There's pros and cons in this case, based on the
Yeah.
experience we have, we want everyone to have.
So,
a
so
sign.
you can tell
If you
your,
have something that doesn't, you can put it on our Facebook group or do whatever you want with it,
Yeah.
but just not for this particular.
and it doesn't have to be, look, it could hurt you, but it doesn't have to be an exclusive listing agreement. Just having
Right.
a listing agreement for a month or.
And it's also confidence that it's actually a property that
Yeah.
someone's going to sign, so there's actually something for sale. As opposed to someone say, oh yeah, bring me a buyer and whatever, and it's.
We don't
just
want it,
fictitious.
to be something
Everyone's
that's
spinning
thrown
their
around.
wheels. That's wasting everyone's time.
That makes
There's
sense.
accountability for everyone involved when there's a signed listing agreement. And that just creates a lot more.
And
confidence,
maybe
a lot
that
more-
could bring up a conversation with you and your client saying.
Right,
you know,
we
we
have a
this
signed
agreement,
listing, now
and
it's-
is
It's
that
easier to
signed
get a
listing
signed
agreement? And then this expires the moment that your agreement expires. So it'll be off there when you want it off there.
You know what I tell my clients is that to be legally protected, both myself, that we need to get the contract signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everything should, I mean, even, I won't even go down that bunny trail for a minute, but we should be getting buyer agreements to you should be getting anything you can get signed, you should be getting it signed, get it in. That's a great practice. And the sooner we all learn that, the better off we'll all be, I promise you. Stephanie.
I just wanted to say that for myself, I just had a listing where I signed it 3-4 weeks ago, but she told me that she didn't want it on the market until September 18th. So there's a little spot on your agreement to say how far out. And you can also neglect, there's also boxes to check that it's not going to be listed on the MLS. So that's the other way to protect yourself is, put it far out. And you'll sell it before then.
You want to sign the listing agreement as soon as possible. If you're not ready to go to market, then use that SELM form to keep it off the market for a week, a month, however long you need. But at least during that time when you signed it, till when you're ready to go on, you're protected. So you're spending all this money listing on photography, advertising, whatever. You don't want somebody to just come in and say, oh, I'm gonna buy this house.
Well, they're typically investors and fixers, and they just don't want to sign an agreement, and they usually don't want to because they've pitched it to 2 or 3 agents that they know, and they're like, whoever sells it, but I've sold quite a few properties that way. They're real.
Yeah.
They're real, and there was a time a few years ago where I sold almost all of them that way.
Yeah, I didn't say it couldn't be effective, but in this, we've decided that it doesn't make sense for now. That may change in the
It's a big
future.
honest.
Yeah. And guys, again, in a low inventory market, which is obviously what we live in, it's gonna be a great tool, but it's only as good as all of us using it, right? So if you have something, put it in there. There's a lot of power in what we have here, but again, it's simple. Everyone participates.
What was the website?
So it's kwbeverlyhills.com.
So we're our
And
main
through
website.
Main website.
At the top right, it's gonna say listings, sold buyers, and then off market. The password is KWBH team. And you upload through the same place that you view all the properties.
And if you have questions, text Serena.
Yeah.
Robert.
So the great thing for people who don't have listings, they can go to their buyers and say, look, I have access to stuff that's not on the market. So our office becomes more profitable and your profit share goes up. So everyone basically is getting help, even if you're representing a buyer, if you're representing a seller and they're doing repairs, or they're a celebrity, or who knows, they're going to get divorced and want someone to know something. You can put it out there and get them some visibility if they just don't want to put it on the MLS. A lot of times, getting a piece of paper signed is better than not getting a piece of paper signed. And even though you're not putting it on the MLS, we've had a few where they didn't want it on the MLS, but within a few weeks, they said, put it on the MLS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great points. Cool. Jerry, you wanna?
Okay, I'll step in for this one. I was getting text from Gary Watt. Hi, I'm Jerry Ferris. This is my buddy Gary Watt. You know that he hosts the social media mastermind class. He's asked me to step in next week. So next week, we're going to have, I have a special guest that we're gonna have on. He is one of the top Keller Williams real estate agents in his market, but he's deaf. The reason why I'd like to have him to come on is because I asked him yesterday and he said 99% of his clients are hearing. And so you talk about having to overcome boundaries and obstacles. No better than this guy. He's a top performer in his market. He's done very, very well. And for those of you who don't know, I was raised by deaf parents. And so my first language was American Sign Language. And now I learned to speak. So I'm fascinated to get to know what his strategies are and also how to make what we do a little bit more accessible to the deaf community. And so we're going to cover a little bit of that, which will segue into AI. He also uses AI as a tool to help market himself. And Gary would be very proud that I'll be talking about AI. So if you join us next week, we got a really cool guest, as I mentioned, and also we'll cover a little bit of AI and we'll continue the caravan
And that'll be
tradition.
here at 10:30?
That'll be here at 10 to, yes, next Tuesday, 10:30 here in this office, and we'll all go caravan together. Okay, so I hope to see you then.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Thank you. All right, before we go there, come back to Gary. So I just want to quickly, May, do you want to come up and give us some thoughts on the market, and then we'll go to Jerry?
I have very good news. Rates are 1%. Don't get too excited. Our friend Jimmy may be actually increasing the rate in November for another quarter. So the market has.
Buy now,
Huh?
buy now.
Everything just already reacted. A 0.25% increase was today. How exciting is that?
How much is now? What's the
The
rate?
rate, 7.25 to 7.5. You can get in the 6 if you pay a lot of.
Wait, were these, when you said 7.25, like 10 years ago, were there moans and groans or people applauding? Were they
Fine,
excited?
it was good.
That was
yeah.
the standard.
Yeah, that was standard. But a lot of the people that are working now, they have not been in the market for more than 10, 15 years, so they haven't seen it. And the other problem is we don't have a lot of inventory, so whatever is out there gets snapped. His client went to buy something at 1.8, and what happened? 7 cash offers. So, right, 7?
Right, yeah.
1 finance and 7 cash, so people have money to buy. So I mean, I think that it's all a mindset, and it is not easy because we're in bold and it's like call. And my clients want to talk for an hour and a half, so I can't make my 100 calls. So what I did, start texting people, and it worked out. So you just have to find a way when there's a problem, how to overcome it. And there are always ways to do it. So people will buy at 7.25 and 7.5. They will buy if they want to buy, because out of necessity, where was Lawrence last time? He always says it's all depends on life situation. They get married, they have babies, somebody dies, somebody, inherits property. There's always necessity. It's not the norm. Robert, what do you want to tell me? Any fun story?
I was just gonna say, Gary Keller says it's always the right time to buy the right piece of real estate. So it's the right time right now.
So expectation that the values will remain the same and going up. All I read is that we're not gonna lose equity. We're not gonna lose, the market is not crashing. Let's just put it that way. It's always a good time to buy in California. What if you pay 7.5, 8%? And in a year or so, you'll refinance it. It doesn't really matter. Get the property, get the equity going. This is the best investment there is. But rates are not going down. Don't even think about it. If you get a client, have them lock the rate immediately. Don't wait, maybe tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Today is the right rate for you. Because people think, tomorrow will be a better rate. And I have people that I locked 2 weeks ago, they're asking me that they heard down. Rate is up, triple what they signed. But we just have to keep our focus on the positive. And people will buy, and if they need the house, they'll buy it, they'll pay the extra rate, and then a year or so, we'll get them a little better rate, but it's not bad. We're not in the 18 or double-digit number. We're still in a good market. Okay?
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so raise your hand if you heard there's a lack of inventory. Okay, there's a lack of inventory. All right, so as a Clearmark title rep, what I want to do is like to help increase your odds. I'm working with JJ and a lot of people in our group and with these guys over here on their farming. And people are farming areas with turnover rates at like say 4 to 8%. Maybe you're lucky and there's 10%. We have a tool to help increase your odds. Anybody watch reality TV, The Bachelor, Bachelor? They just announced a Golden Bachelor. It's not Andrew Bloom. He's not the Golden Bachelor. For those of you who may or may not know, I was on that show. I got down on bended knee and she ran off into the darkness. So I was rejected. The reason why I bring up, that's it. The reason why I bring up bachelors.
That's right.
You think so? Saying that out loud?
My wife watched that show.
With that said, I would nominate Allie as the Golden Bachelorette. I think that you would be the queen of this program. Anyway, if I told you that bachelors and bachelorettes list their home, 61% of them list their home within the first year of breaking out, what would you say? So we have a tool, a life events tool on our website that you could look at, and it lists divorces. So it does increase the odds by 20%. We can show you, I'd love to show each one of you how to find that on Title Toolbox. Believe it or not, there's a nice way to do it and approach that, and there are people that are looking to sell. But when I found out that people who file for divorce, about 61% list their home within that first year, that's a lot of information, and there's a strategy there. And it's literally a Dropbox on our website, and I can show you how to utilize it yourself, or you can ask me, and I'm more than happy to kind of go and find those people for you. Yes.
I just heard today from a friend of mine that the title company can do live events like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and those. That's a referral that you could approach.
Correct, and that's, thank you, it's exactly right. And they're not reality TV bachelor and bachelorettes, these are like real people who actually have real homes, and they're really looking for your assistance and guidance. But there are life event categories that get listed. It's public information, and
So default, bankruptcy.
yes, all of that stuff. And so we can help you find that and help you utilize those tools. So come find me, JerryClearmarkTitle.com. I'm happy to help you out with that. If you need anything else, you can find me walking around this office too, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Jerry. Pele. For those that don't know Pele, which hopefully is not anyone here, is our escrow officer, Cannon Hills Escrow. Pele's awesome. Pele, share something with us.
So hello, everybody. I'm Pele Keith. I'm an in-house escrow officer. I haven't had the opportunity to work with a lot of you, but I'm looking forward to it. I do work with some of our big agents and the agents that are up and coming. So if you have any questions, escrow title related, please come and see me. If you're going to a listing appointment, you want to do a net sheet, we can do that for you. If you have a fast escrow and we need to pre-open that and get the HOA docs ordered or the 9(8) order, let me know. We can do all that for you, okay? Also, I'm a notary, so if any of you need anything notarized, I do it for free, all right? Except for loan documents. Yeah.
For sure. Thank you, Pele. Yes, JJ, you want to come up? So again, JJ is our Director of Education, one of our consistently top producing agents. JJ is a resource for everyone. His focus is on the newer agents, but he's here for the most experienced agents. Those that know JJ know how good he is. Those that don't, I'm letting you know that. That's a complete secret weapon for you guys and anything you're doing in business. So JJ, anything you want to like share with us?
Tomorrow at 11, I'll be doing buyer presentations. So this is something going forward that's going to be really important. We're going to work on the Keller Williams buyer presentation tomorrow. I'll show you how to customize it in Command and how to talk about it with buyers and getting buyers to sign a buyer representation agreement. I walked over to Michael earlier. There was a lawsuit that was settled today. It was settled, which is not good. We don't like that. Basically, what was the lawsuit about? The basis for the lawsuit was because we ask sellers to sign buyer side commissions in our listing. We're asking sellers upfront to pay a buyer side commission. Because we're doing that, we're raising sellers' costs. That's the basis of this lawsuit. It got settled.
But there's also another suit from buyers that say that their buyers' commission has already been predetermined in the listing, which is not fair.
Yeah.
It's a whole Michigan.
Anyways, there are a lot of markets, they work with buyer representation agreements, and in other countries, the buyers pay the commissions for the buyers pay agent commissions on the buyer side. I'm going to focus on the dialogue tomorrow for the buyer representation agreement and our buyer presentation.
And guys, I'm just gonna, without getting, whatever, it's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time, and it's probably gonna be a bit more time.
So our time starts tomorrow.
Yep.
Even experienced agents should go to.
Yeah, or
Yes.
tomorrow, this is what it's about. We're gonna focus on this. We're gonna get buyers to sign a buyer's listing agreement, basically.
And-
So I have a quick note to add to that. So it's really actually very important to have a buyer's agreement.
It's very important.
And I'll tell you why. When there's a dispute, I had to sue another agent. And if I didn't have a series of text messages that I didn't delete and emails proving that I was the procuring cause that sold it, I would have lost that case because I did not have a buyer's agreement signed. And they were specifically, the other agent who tried to steal my deal was specifically, their attorney kept pounding on that. Well, do you have a buyer's agreement? Well, you don't have one, so therefore it's not yours. But I won, but I was close to losing it because I didn't have it. But I had solid evidence, so I won, but.
That you had a buyer agreement, been clear as day.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Robert. Oh, Andrew, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, one of the value propositions to getting a buyer to work with you and sign exclusively is your ability to find off-market deals, right? We all say that. We all sort of pretend that we have this way, the secret way, or this way of getting off-market deals. When you're faced with a buyer and sitting down with them to do a consultation and get a buyer broker agreement signed, part of your value proposition is what work and effort are you gonna do to find them property that isn't the low-hanging fruit? And so one of the things that I do, and I discuss this with buyers all the time, new buyers that I'm working with or that I meet, is that I've got access to a lot of off-market property, and I'd like to send them those properties in advance to start to narrow down their search. And I'll go into MLS and just create a search of either sold properties that sold 5, 10, 11, 15 years ago, or cancels or expired listings that came off the market 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and send them a plethora of property that's not available, it's not on the market. I don't know if these sellers want to sell, and we haven't adjusted the pricing to the current market conditions, but do any of these look appealing to you? Right? And so it's like, what can we do to create a value proposition to a buyer that differentiates us and gives us an immediate opportunity to reach out to a buyer and say, look, there's a dozen homes in the zip code or the neighborhood. These are all the right size. They all have the right number of bedrooms and bathrooms. They're not currently on the market, but do any of these work for you? And if they do, I'll find out if any of these sellers want to sell. So it's just a really good tool to introduce, like just to your class tomorrow, right? It's like, how do we? Yeah, we've got our website here within the organization. But outside of that, how do you put together a list quickly to show and demonstrate to a buyer that you really do have resources? That's available to everybody, but nobody really knows.
That's an approach. Yeah.
All right, so tomorrow at 11, we will have dialogue.
Joe, what are you
I was just gonna say, I think it's also important with off markets. I've been burned by this, in fact, to get a listing agreement with off markets, because I've had people that said, hey, I can buy up to 20 million, blah, 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 off market. I have an agent, but if you can find me an off market, so I did that once, and then they looped their huge agent in and they cut me out and pretend like they never had that conversation.
I just want to give one quick tip.
Uh-huh.
Anyone that's working with a child, that child could be 60 or 70 years old. If their parent is the money, the parent is your client. Whoever the money is, that's your client. Make sure that there's a dialogue before.
A single party compensation.
Would be the right thing to
Would
do
be
on
the
that.
right thing before you send the property address to that buyer. You get him to.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow and next week. We'll get clarity on single party agreements, cooperating broker compensation agreements. We'll get clarity on all that. But I just want to repeat, like, if I am dealing with a kid whose parents are paying for something, I'm including the parents in what I'm showing them. Because the kid calls the parents and they say, I found it. And the parent's like, whoa, let me bring my agent in. Okay, that's what we're trying to avoid.
What time is your class?
11 o'clock.
Thanks, KJ. Okay, so I want to bring up Andrew and Anthony. Come on up, guys. Pleasure. Thank you. Phenomenal. So these guys, Ikigai, is that? Ikigai, okay, are the leaders of Ikigai, and Ross and Stephanie and Jill are part of the team. I've known Andrew sort of peripherally for at least a few years. I've known Anthony for a bit more. Just natural leaders, tremendous energy. The track record, as you can see here, speaks for itself. Over 3,000 transactions, over 2 billion in residential resale transactions, over 50 million in GCI. As I said, success leaves clues. And so I want to start by getting a little bit of background and context and on how you started in the business, how you came to KW, which I think was 7 years ago. Do I remember that right?
I think about 7 years.
Okay, and how you guys ended up meeting and becoming partners, and then a little bit about the vision moving forward. So Andrew, maybe start off with your background in real estate. How long in real estate? Where did that all start?
So in 2019, Gary Keller asked me to come on stage at MegaCamp. And it was the first year where he only would allow people on stage to be interviewed after he reviewed their P&Ls.
That's right.
I was the first call and he
It was
called
always
me.
profit first, by the way. That was a big theme, still remains a big theme. So he was looking at the P&L to really see how profitable are these agents. They may be extremely productive, but if they're not driving profit, it doesn't matter, which is a central theme in our business. I will look at real estate agents, and most of them don't even know their GCI, but even if they know their GCI, they certainly don't know their profit margins, with rare exception. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So Gary had me on stage and Gary knew a little bit about my story and my background. And I actually lived at Vista Del Mar, which is an orphanage just down the street from here at National and Overland. Many of you may know it, but I went in there at 11 years old after living in poverty and on the streets and years of abuse and a lot of neglect and 2 parents that were disabled mentally, physically, emotionally, and couldn't care for me. So I ended up at Vista Del Mar. I was at Vista Del Mar until I was 14 years old, and then I was emancipated on my own at 14, and I was determined. I was just determined to be the best version of myself and get an education and go to school and do all the right things. And so 7 high schools later, because I was home, I had nowhere to live, so I was always bouncing around and trying to find a roof over my head. And anyway, 7 high schools later, I dropped out of high school, I got my GED, and then I put myself through college. I have a bachelor's degree in social work. And I graduated from ASU with a bachelor's degree in social work, and I went into low-income housing advocacy. I was a caseworker for the city of Phoenix. I moved to Phoenix when I was 17 years old. My father was locked up at Arizona State Mental Hospital, so I ended up in Phoenix. I ended up graduating from ASU, and I got a job as a social worker in Phoenix. And I was working for Head Start as a caseworker. So as a Head Start caseworker, to me at that moment, the most important thing for me was how many families can I save from living a life of poverty and living a life of neglect and abuse? How can I make a difference in community and in homes that had children in there that were experiencing the similar things that I was experiencing as a kid? So I get my degree in social work. I go into housing advocacy and I'm working in low income housing. And I was doing neighborhood cleanups and really advocating for my clients to get, fresh flooring and fresh paint. These people have been lifelong tenants, Section 8. Landlords were taking advantage of them. And I found myself in court monthly advocating for my clients to improve the living conditions of the homes that they were living in. And the only way for me to move up the ladder from caseworker 1 to caseworker 2 from $19,000 a year to $24,000 a year was if I had another degree. So I would have to go back to school and get my master's in social work or a master's in counseling or an LCSW, licensed clinical social work, some other professional designation. And I thought, I got to go back to school. What do I want to, what am I going to do? And so I went to my supervisor and said, if I got my real estate license, that's a professional designation, and I'm a housing advocate now, would that qualify and move me up the ladder in the pay scale? And they approved it. And they actually paid for me to go to my real estate.
Creative thinking.
Yeah, great.
Solution.
So I'm sitting in real estate school, and at that time, right, everything was in person. I'm in real estate school, and I'm the first one to class every day, and I'm the last one to leave. And I'm asking and answering all the questions in class. And everybody else is just didn't seem to have the same
drive and
interest.
curiosity.
Yeah, the same curiosity, the same drive, the same desire to go out and help people. And I got my real estate license. They moved me up to caseworker 2, and I sold 40 homes my first year part-time. Running seminars.
What year was that?
That was 1995.
Okay.
1996, yeah. And I was running seminars in these communities that I was working with to low-income families. Stop renting, buy now, 0 down, you can buy, you can do it, break the cycle of poverty, and I was teaching and training people on how to buy homes. And then I went full-time into the business about a year and a half later. And when I went full-time into the business, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna farm. I'm going to take over these little communities like I was doing as a social worker. But I would pull into these low-income neighborhoods like I was the ice cream man. I'd get out of my car and the kids would all, Mr. Bloom, oh, thank you so much for the new pair of shoes, or the food box that we got on Friday, or the bicycle that we got for Christmas. And I was getting people cleaning up their neighborhoods and cleaning up the community. And so when I went into real estate full-time, I thought, why wouldn't I just do the same thing? Why wouldn't I just pick a neighborhood and pick a community and go in and make a difference in the lives of these people and the homes that they live in and improve the neighborhood? And so I started with a little farm of 200 homes, 200 doors. And I would saturate that market. I was dominating that market. Nobody would even consider listing or selling or doing any kind of a real estate transaction without using me. About a year later, I thought, this stuff works. I mean, this whole building community and helping people make a difference in their lives and improving their lives really works. I'm going to increase this farm from 200 doors to 500 doors, and I'm going to increase my price from 150,000 to 500,000. Right, so I'm going to go from my average price at that point was about 150,000. I'm going to just raise my average price and pick 500 doors at a higher price point now that I've got some experience and knowledge behind me. Within a year, I was just saturating and dominating those 500 doors, and I'm taking listings at 500,000, 600. I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible. I just got to keep pouring into community. I just want to pour into community as much as I can. And 2 years later, I decided to start farming 4,000 doors. I'm like, I'm going to farm this 4,000 doors, but I'm never going to live in this community of 4,000 doors. It was a really upscale at the time, kind of an upscale neighborhood in Scottsdale. And I thought, well, if I'm not going to live in this neighborhood, I need to find a partner. I need an agent that's going to live in this neighborhood that is going to raise kids in these schools. And I'm going to bring all of the knowledge that I have about building community and becoming the mayor of that neighborhood or of those blocks. I'm going to bring all that. I'm going to find somebody and recruit somebody to join forces with me. So I did. And we've dominated those 4,000 doors, and we continue to dominate those 4,000 doors. It's in Scottsdale. Anyway, we did that for years and years and years, but I needed more, right? I wanted to give back to the community more. I wanted to do more business. I wanted to buy more investment property. I wanted to buy more real estate. And so I was thinking, how can I network with other professionals? How can I get in with CPAs and insurance guys and all the, I really want to network. So I got really involved in networking in the community, and I started the North Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce. I was the original founding member. I grew to 700 members, and then we merged with the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce, and my real estate business just continued to grow. And I was doing 40 million a year for 20 years in a row at Remax. And I was a big balloon head. I'm doing my thing, and I'm consistent, and I'm persistent, and I'm tenacious, and I'm giving back, and I'm celebrating with the community, and everything was it was wonderful. But I was really killing myself. Like I was just working like a dog, right? And at the time we didn't have leverage. We didn't have DocuSign. We didn't have zip forms. We didn't have electronic lockbox keys, right? And it's not really how things work. You guys today, you're all spoiled. We didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was like I'd get done door knocking, and then my pager would go off, right? If you guys remember King
Yeah.
he was the dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, I gotta find a payphone. I gotta call this lead. I was working feverishly, and I had a really good career. I had a really, really, really good career. Spent a long time at Remax. In 2012, I was the 312th agent in the world to make $10 million in GCI at Remax. And I'm like, this is really great. But I lacked an understanding of the models. I had never read the MREA. I never was introduced to it. I never saw it. I never knew what it was.
Millionaire real estate agent, for those that may not know.
I had mastered lead generation. And if you master lead generation, it's like you can do anything in the world that you desire and you master lead gen, because you're a rainmaker and magic happens
in any business.
And you put transactions together that nobody could ever imagine putting together. People ask me today, they say, well, what do you do for a living? I'm in the manufacturing business. I manufacture real estate transactions. I put deals together. That's what I do. I just manufacture deals. And then I got invited to go to ESO, which is Expansion Systems Orientation. It's a KW executive level course for those that have mastered lead generation and need to want to go to the next level. What
And
do you
scale it more broadly,
Yeah,
state to
what do you
state.
do,
national.
right? So
Yeah.
this is about 8 years ago. I attend ESO. It was taught by Kristen Cole and Brian Gubernick in Phoenix. And I'm sitting in this Remax, in this KW room. There's probably 350 agents. Many of them paid $1,000 to be there. They paid $1,000 for hotel and airfare. And I would fly around the country as a Remax agent, taking these high-level executive leadership, career visioning courses taught by Ben Kenny, taught by Seth Campbell, taught by Kristen Cole. And I'm flying around as a Remax agent to all these Keller Williams executive leadership training courses. Executive leadership, like people look at KW and they're like, this is new agents, beginning agents. KW is for new agents. Well, it's for new agents because it's taught by leaders, right? It's run by, everybody knows Gary Keller's a real estate agent, right? So it goes from the top down. I walked out of ESO. I said, you know what, this is so interesting. I mastered lead generation and I never really understood the organizational model. I didn't get that. I never understood the law of reciprocity. I never understood that this world actually revolves around this universal law of attraction and the vibration of reciprocity, that the more that we give, the more we get. I just never really understood that. And as I started to really understand the laws of reciprocity, it was like, wait a second, I can be a rainmaker and generate all the business in the world that I want to generate. And I could give that business away, if you will, in a sense, right? When I mastered the organizational model, it was like, there was this awakening in me. It was really profound. And I walked out of ESO and I said, you know what? I'm going to go from 4,000 doors to 12,000 doors. I'm going to be really bold and really big and really brave. And I'm going to expand 4,000 to 12,000 doors. So I did. And within 90 days, I started seeing opportunities in the additional 8,000 doors. My phone would ring, come list me, come list me, come list me. I'm like, this thing works. Like this expansion model works. And I can book 10, 20, 30, 50 listing appointments a month. It wouldn't matter because I'm just handing out the opportunities to people on my team. 90 days went by and I decided I'm going to expand to 16,000. So I expanded to 16,000 doors. 90 days went by and I expanded to 35,000. Then I expanded to 75,000. And I got to a point where I was farming 200,000 doors a month in Phoenix. I've scaled that back. I'm at 75,000 doors a month now that I farm in Arizona. I have a great business in Arizona. And then 3 years ago, I wanted to come back to California. I wanted to be back on the sand and in the sun and in my roots. My kids were raised, the children all out of the house. And so COVID hit. I decided to come back. And I thought, okay, I need to stay connected to my people. I have to stay connected to my team and I have to stay connected to my database. So I'm going to be uber disciplined and I'm going to spend a couple hours every single morning on the phone with my team, coaching and training and calling my database and doing all this. So I set it up where for an hour, every single day we'd get on the call and we'd start our day together. The team, every morning, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m., we'd start our day together. Me and my Arizona team. I would volunteer at KW offices, Santa Monica mostly, and I would hang out in the office because I like being in the office. And I would invite other people to join the call. And we'd spend an hour on the phone, getting inspired, getting motivated, getting into the right mindset, and then moving into lead generation. So this went by for about a year. And I saw my production dropping in Arizona. And I was like, whoa, why is my production dropping? I'm on the phone with my team, checking in every morning. I'm still marketing and doing all the things that I do, but my production's dropping. So I said, I figured it out. We get off the phone after an hour of mindset and getting things right and focused, and they are dropping domino number 2. They're dropping domino number 2, which is lead generation. So here's what we're gonna do, you guys. Our call is now gonna be 2 hours long, and we're gonna get our mindset right for the first hour, and then we're gonna lead gen together for the second hour, and I'm gonna do the lead generation, and you guys can you can listen. I don't care what you do. I'm gonna dial, I'm gonna make calls. Last week, I closed a deal last week for 10 million. When did that close, Jill? Arizona deal, $10 million came off my lead gen. Actually, it was 2 years ago, I listed and sold a $6 million house in Arizona from my cold call lead gen hour. And they referred me to a $10 million seller that I closed last week, right? So then I'm on the phone, I'm lead generating with the team. Okay, now I'm seeing the results that I need to see, right? And so Anthony Rollins jumped on my calls 2.5 years ago. I'm like, this guy doesn't just sit here with the camera off. Like, this guy is participating, and he's got these Kellerisms, and he's got culture. He's got rhythm, and I mean, this guy has got soul, right? Like real soul. And I'm like, this dude's great. So we would just start playing catch together during the call. And, you know, when you master the MREA, like when you embody the MREA, it's like embodying the Bible or the Torah. I mean, there are innuendos on every single page of the MREA that talk about how important your business will never grow beyond the extent that you do as a person. Right? I mean, and there are on every single page of the MREA, there's some context about how important your schedule is, your routine is, your values are, who you are as a person, who you become. And there's these old sayings within Keller Williams, like, it's not about what Keller Williams can do for you, but who you can become. Right? And all of a sudden, I started really developing this leadership intimacy, this acuity, or this attunement to my own value and what was important to me as a human being, and understanding that really love is the answer to everything. I mean, it really is, to every transaction we do, that working with buyers and sellers, how to make other people feel seen and heard and understood. And then this guy comes into my life, and it was just like, man, wow, this guy not only embodies Keller Williams at the core, but he's got other skills that I like. He can create a spreadsheet and run Facebook ads and technology and these other things that really aren't my thing, you know. But what we found was there was just this spark, this fire that was created and developed. We finished each other's sentences. You know, he was the only guy that I could get on, and I could spend 4, 5, 6 hours at night on a Zoom call with him, collaborating and commiserating and planning. And I'm like, I never found anybody in my life that I could really, you know, do that with. And so we formed the Ikigai Realty Group. And the Ikigai Realty Group, Ikigai is a Japanese term, and it's built on 4 fundamental principles, 4 pillars, the Ikigai is. The first one is that you love doing what you do. You're passionate about what you do, that you love it so much. The second pillar is that you're really good at it. That you actually are on a path of mastery, that you're so obsessed with it, that you're just completely obsessed with this vocation that you've chosen, right? It's a vocation. That's what the Ikigai, for the Japanese, it represents what your life's work. It's your purpose for living. It's your purpose for getting up in the morning and doing what you do. The third pillar is that it benefits other people. That it benefits other people, that what you're doing is good for the good of others. And the fourth is that there's fair exchange. That there's a reciprocity with the universe, financially, emotionally, spiritually, that you have that. And so we're the Ikigais. That's our deal. And I still have my practice in Arizona. We have our practice here. Many of you know I jumped into 72 sold in a big way, right? Because it took a long time for me to build a big business in Arizona. And you're gonna write the check one way or the other. You're gonna write the check to build a business one way or the other. Somehow, some way, you're gonna write the check. It's either time or money or both. And so I wrote the big check, right, for 72 sold. And I'm happy to say we're in the black, right? I'm happy to say that we're profitable. We've closed about, I don't know, where are we at? 19 million year to date?
Close to that, yeah.
About 19 million closed. And I can look across the room and go, Ross has closed 3 million or got 3 million in escrow. Stephanie just closed one today for 1.6 million. She's got 3 million closed year to date. Jill's closing deals. And you look at this, it's just and now here we are. KW Beverly Hills with Josh and Paul and you guys. Are you kidding me? This is like a dream. It's a dream come true.
We dreamt about this.
It's a dream come true to be here in a relationship, in business with an office that cares about people. And JJ, I tell you, this guy is, I mean, are you kidding me? Michael, are you kidding me? And I've been around the block, right? I've been in I've done this business there's not a lot of agents in the world that have ever done the kind of business that I've done, ever. And to be here is a privilege. And to be with this guy is a privilege. And I love it.
And so let me ask you, so thank you, you're awesome, man. The energy is. So take over from there and give us a little bit of your perspective.
I'll tell you this. The first time I sat on one of these morning calls, I was listening to this guy. I literally said, like, this is like Howard Stern for real estate. I mean, it was there. It's coming at you. And I listened to the story. And if you hear the story of where he comes from, just once, I mean, every time he tells it still just hits me here, right? To know that, we all have a backstory, right? And our backstory is responsible for who we are one way or the other. And with his story, he could be a very different individual today and say, it's because of where I come from. But it's because of where he comes from as to where he decided he wanted to be today.
Yep.
And that means more to me than anything. And, I was like, wow, this guy's a 7th level agent. He's made $1 million a year, 20 years in a row. You could pay $1,500 a month for map coaching, talk to that coach for 30 minutes once a week, and not get anywhere near as much information as I'm getting just by showing up and being on this call 1 hour a day. So the value was there for me, right? So it was like, it's a no-brainer. I've been around the block long enough to know who I need to associate with and where I can grow from. So, in the beginning of 2022, I actually put in my 411, my goal for the year was that I said, I want to be in an inner circle with Andrew Bloom, Paul Morris, and Tristan Almada. So if you don't mind being Tristan, I'm going to be able to I'll say that I'm there, right? Because
I'll take it.
Like Jerry said, we are the sum of the 5 people that we hang around with. And I knew these guys and said, you know what? Like, why wouldn't I want to be close to someone like this? And then, between the relationship that we have, the partnership, the friendship, like he says, it's like, I have more intimate conversations with him than I have with friends for 30 years because they don't know me like that. They don't see me like that. And this guy knows my faults at the deepest level, right? And yet I've never had anyone outside of my mother as frequently speak of me in such regard than this guy has in my entire life. And for that, I will go to bat. And it's like, what more else is there to say? And we talked about for a long time, like getting to the point where we are now. We started this call, we do this call. I found such a purpose in our morning call. It's changed my life. In so many ways, it's made me a better person in every aspect of it. And it all started when I said, you know what? I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to pour all in. And I know I'm giving up a lot and there's a lot of sacrifice, but down the road, it's going to pay off. And for where we are right now and the success that we're starting to experience, we haven't even scratched the surface. I mean, we haven't even started.
So let me ask you guys, in light of time, first of
Yeah.
all, again, these guys, as you can tell, they're authentic, they're vulnerable, they're passionate, they're driven, they take initiative, they embody leadership. And I couldn't be more grateful to have them here and all of us have them here because we're going to learn so much from one another. So let me start there, big time. Coming back to the business for a minute, so we can at least take, so how much of the business currently comes from 72 sold leads? And why don't you quickly give people a definition of what 72 sold is? Because probably there are several people that don't.
And is your 72 sold business in LA or Arizona?
Yeah, so in Arizona,
That's where it started, right?
well,
Yes.
in Arizona, our brokerage wasn't allowed to participate in 72 sold. We never did. 72 sold was a standalone brokerage, did its own thing. And Teresa Hay, Greg's wife, worked for me 25 years ago
Wow.
on my team. And I've known Greg and I've known
Greg
Teresa.
Hicks founded, I guess, right,
Right,
72
yeah.
sold.
So I've
Yeah.
known them a long time. They did their thing, they've done their thing. It was never really anything but other than their thing in Arizona for them. And then it started growing and expanding nationally. And when it went national, I was still not allowed to participate in Arizona because it was exclusive to Hague
In Arizona.
in Arizona. But I was able to.
It's a lead gen platform. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, it's like, if you want to succeed in this business, you've got to saturate your market. You've got to, in order for you to dominate anything that you do, you've got to saturate it, whether it's a muscle that you want to build, you know, whatever it is, it's like you absolutely have to saturate in order to dominate, right? Whether it's 200 doors or 2,000 doors or 20, whatever it looks like. And I was really on the fence about getting my real estate license in California. I spent 2.5 years here. I'm like, I don't know, I want to get my license. I don't know that I want to go to work. I don't know that I want to build a business. And so 72 sold was just a way for me to buy the business, right? It would be no different than buying somebody else's business, but it was a way for me to, it's a business in a box, right? It was like, okay, if I can come in and, you know, I jumped in, I bought 50 seats, right? So that's $75,000 a month. But I wasn't worried about writing the check. I wasn't worried about the cost of it. I wasn't worried about how do you manage all of these leads and all the opportunity, because I felt so safe and comfortable in the 4 models of the MREA. Right? I mean, I looked at it, I'm like, these 4, and it could be true in, you know, if you want to go take over a zip code or a city or a community or a neighborhood or a complex or a building, you could do the same exact thing. And, you know, it really comes down to understanding the MREA. It understands, you've got to understand the economic model, the budget model, the organizational model. But I bought 50 seats. And I went to Anthony and I said, listen, let's do it together. We'll do it together. We'll be partners, equal partners, 50-50 partners. Let's build this thing together. And I said, I'll fund it. You know, you just show up and be your amazing, beautiful, loving self, and let's move this thing down the road. I don't want to do it by myself. And so that's where it started. It started off with this 50 seat a month.
So
acquisition.
just to
And
clarify.
so 72 sold is it's a lead aggregator. All it does is provide us with seller leads.
Seller leads, they spend a
run
ton of money
national-
right, go ahead.
They run national commercials where they say, you know, go to our website and get your home price. And then that lead comes in, and depending on what area you have, which are now zip codes, those leads come into you and it tells you time frame to sell, condition of property, and typically has owner's name and address in there. And then we call, and then we have ISAs that also call and set appointments. So we go on warm appointments based on that. And we moved from a territory model to a zip code model where we now manage about 73 zip codes throughout LA and Orange County.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So the Arizona business, nothing to do
Zero.
with seven.
Yeah, no
This was a
72
way
sold.
to speed that. And obviously, look,
In
here's the thing.
Arizona,
I know most people here,
Yeah.
in fact, probably everyone here almost, doesn't have $75,000 a month to spend on lead gen, right? So with all that, and obviously you built your other business not that way, but you want to
Right.
accelerate. You're in a unique position that allows you to do that, right? So what can they take from, and also
Yeah.
partly I want to touch into like, from what I understand, and I want to dig into this personally myself, the 72 sold training itself, independent of buying a seat. So you
Bar
can
none, it's-
buy a seat, which is $1,500 for one seat per month, right? To get some leads. But they also provide, right, is it $79 a month? Or 72, sorry. So go ahead. I want to take some lessons from this that these guys can apply because they're not going to be able to spend a small fortune on it.
And it's not about spending money on 72 sold and buying lead, like that is just, that was a fast path to generate a ton of leads and a ton of business really quickly. And, we're barely in the black. Like, I mean, I don't know, I'm 350 grand, 400 grand into this thing and I'm barely.
Let me just take one pause for a minute. This is the best business and people, you guys take this for granted, where it's extremely not capital intensive. You are all business owners. You have an MLS, you have to be part of the MLS, the car, you pay a monthly bill here. You don't understand the opportunity you have with the amount of business you can make with a tiny capital investment relative to other businesses. You start a clothing business, you gotta buy inventory, you gotta sign a lease, you gotta do all these things. So just want to be clear, because
I would never, like 72 sold, it's because I had such a mastery understanding of the four models within the MREA. And if it wasn't for a mastery understanding of the four models, I wouldn't go near it. Like it's dangerous and it makes no sense to just put a polywog in the water. Like if you either go big or you go home in everything that you do, in everything it's go big or go home. And go big doesn't mean farm 200,000 doors. It means learn how to dominate 200 doors, learn how to dominate 400 people in command, right? Go small to go big, the fundamentals, mastering the fundamentals is the most important thing you can do in this business. And mastering the fundamentals means learning to play small at a really high level. I mean, and it's literally, you gotta, the reason the 200 doors became important was because 200 doors was the cutoff for EDDM, right? So I looked at it way back when, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna farm 200 doors because at 200 doors or more, I'm in EDDM. So I get a lower postage rate, right? So it's like once you've mastered, like at a really super high level, your database, and your database meaning your sphere of influence, the community that you want to be a part of, and you've got this, when you dominate it, right? And it's like when you dominate 200 doors, now you can go expand to 500 doors, right? And Keller Williams are always teaching us lead with revenue. So the 72 sold it's a model, but I wouldn't.
The 200 doors, did you send flyers? Were those phone calls? Were that door knocking?
That was everything, right? It was
Great question.
postcards, flyers, flags on the right holidays, I mean, all of the stuff that you're going to do to be the
top of mind. Whatever you can. Go ahead, Dan.
I just want to say this, right? The MOFR, big offer for immediate response of 72 sold is we can sell your home in 8 days or less, right? Their value proposition or benefit is that 5 independent studies over the last 3 years have shown that we've gotten sellers 8.4 to 12% higher prices than the local MLS median. That's what every agent has to have. You have to have a value proposition and be able to articulate it at any level. 72 sold just gets you in the door. You still have to present yourself and why you're the agent of choice to get the listing, right? So when you have a value proposition, and this is going to be more important if buyer commissions or when buyer commissions go away, we have to be able to articulate our value proposition, why they want to work with us out of the other 9,000, 10,000 agents in LA, and then be able to demonstrate that value. So, what is your MOFR as an agent? What is your value proposition? And then if you're a newer agent and you don't have a track record, are you tapping into things like lore? What are the lore numbers for this office that you can use? Our office is selling at 104%.
Language of real estate.
Language of real estate. All those things are available to you. So if you have a MOFR, you know your value proposition, and you have a track record that you can at least lean back on if you don't have one as a new agent. That's really what it takes to be successful. And then the commitment to daily, follow the models of the MREA, right? The agent 20%, lead generation, lead follow-up.
going on appointments, negotiating contracts, daily script and role play. Right? You gotta know that, you gotta know like you know your blood type and political affiliation. That's how important it is. And then get that into your daily calendar, right? And time block it. And you go small. You gotta go, you know, whether it's 200 doors or 2,000 doors, you gotta go small and you master the basics. You master those fundamentals. You master the database. You master lead generation. You master lead follow-up. And there's just this, there's this energy, this vibration when you're doing things right, rather than trying to do a million things wrong. When you just do a few, it's like narrow the strike zone, right? We talk about it all the time. Like, you know, we all learned how to hit the ball off the tee, right? All of us learned how to hit the ball off the tee first. And then we learned to, you know,
Hit a pitch.
how to hit the curve,
how to hit the
and
change,
that
how
pitch
to
wasn't
hit
coming
inside,
from
outside.
90 feet away, it was coming from 30 or 45 feet away, right? And then once we mastered that, then we were able to step it up. We have to master the fundamentals, really. I mean, it's really, you know, for the newer agents, it's mastering the fundamentals. And for the agents that have been around a long time, it's going back to the fundamentals. And I will tell you this, because there's a lot of agents in this room that are very successful and have been doing this for a long time. The knowledge and experience you have, that value proposition that you have to other members, other people that are interested in getting in real estate or are licensed in this office, like you owe it to yourself. It's a self duty to be able to take that that knowledge and share it and learn how to share it through the organizational model. Like really learn what does it mean to create leverage in your life as an experienced agent, right? Like what does that look? And there's a model to follow for that. And most people don't, most agents that have been around for 10 or 20, bless you, or 30 years, don't have any concept. If you're going on a listing appointment by yourself, like shame on you. What a tragedy for you to walk into a listing appointment with all this experience and all this knowledge and years in the business, and you're walking into an appointment by yourself. Like, what do you gain? Where's your growth edge in that? When you got 300 agents in this office that would die to sit next to you and not say a word and just take notes and be your scribe and show up at the photo shoot, sweep the front yard, that would die to do that, right? Like, I mean, and so when you understand this culture of reciprocity that is what the MREA is all about. It's really what this industry and this business is all about. The intellectual property that the senior agents have, that they just don't get nope, I don't need a team. I'm not building a team. What is that? I don't know if that's the most selfish thing to do in the world or the least selfish thing, because the most selfish thing you can do is help other people, because the joy that it brings you is so tremendous. Right? And it's like there are so many agents that want to learn, they want to know. Don't do anything on your own. And I'm having, you know, we launched this little team. And I invited Jill and Stephanie and Ross. Anthony said, you know, we'll do this thing with you. And I'm so proud of these two at the front row here, Stephanie and Ross. They were licensed, they would show up every single day at the Santa Monica Keller Williams office. And 2 years went by. Of my 2 years, I watched these guys. Year and a half. They never did a transaction. They've never done a transaction. They've got a huge sphere of influence. They got hearts bigger than anybody I've ever met. They know more people than anybody you could ever imagine. Stephanie posted this thing the other day about the arts thing, the writers.
Did you see who commented on that? One of the biggest songwriters in our business.
In the world.
In the world.
It's huge, but there was a disconnection in their confidence of doing real estate transactions, of going on listing appointments, of understanding of, and I'll tell you, once they got a taste of it, once they got to sit in front of a seller in a living room and do it over and over, like you can't stop them. These two Stephanie just closed one today for 1.6. Unstoppable, these two. Right? Previously unstoppable. And got a backup. There you go. So, you know, what I would encourage, like, I mean, my message here is like, partner, collaborate. It's really like this universe strives on reciprocity. Like, love is developed through reciprocity.
So let me ask you this, in light of timing, what time is your call? Is anyone invited?
Oh, anybody can come. It's 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Can you post it on social, on our
Yeah.
Facebook page?
It's at
BV, Boy Victor Omega class.
Serena will put it on our Facebook page.
Bravo Victor Alpha.
Robert Victor Oscar.
But anyway, I want to ask you guys / this group, let's start with you guys, if you're okay with it. I want to put you on the spot, but I feel safe in doing that. I'd love for you guys to like teach a class here. So what, do you have a suggestion? If not, we'll come up with it. We don't have to have that answer right now.
Well, we could teach on almost anything, but I will tell you that the thing that's probably influenced my life the most over the last couple of years is this nervous system regulation, polyvagal theory, breath work. Breath work. I lived a long life of being unconscious, of just not paying attention, of just not being aware. And when I started learning and studying neuroscience and how to stimulate and activate my prefrontal cortex and get out of living in my amygdala, in the rearview mirror, in the past, I started understanding that there are activities that I can do that stimulate the prefrontal cortex and release dopamine, like getting up in the morning and having gratitude and saying a prayer and being in blessing, and then moving my body and getting into exercise. And, you know, having this relationship with my body from a breathwork perspective, meditation, we meditate on the call every day, Monday through Friday. We do a 5-minute meditation. It's not, if you don't know how to consciously breathe, I don't have any stress or anxiety. I'm dealing and Josh, I'll tell you what, I mean, here's a guy that comes from the same mantra. You know, there's a lot of complexities in my life and in his life. I have really no stress or anxiety. And that began to diminish the minute I connected to my soul and my heart and being able to regulate my nervous system and know what that is all about and being able to control that. And then learning how to help others regulate their nervous systems, you know, and authentically and consciously, which is there's a big difference between spreading love consciously and authentically and spreading love like manure, right? Like, I mean, there's a difference in really being connected to your purpose and what that's all about. And so this daily morning, Jerry's on it. And, you know, we have people who have their children listen to it. So it's a little airy-fairy. We do a little, Ross.
I just want to say that when I met these two guys, granted, I'm older, been around the block a lot. Over the last 10 years, I have suffered an incredible amount of loss. They both do that. And they decided, not consciously, but internally, to help me deal with my loss by getting me to subscribe to the call. And to be honest, I will tell you, my mom's a psychiatrist, 40 years, man. When I explained to her what these guys do every morning, she absolutely glazed over and away. When I talked about breath regulation and monitoring my emotional system, she's like, oh my God, you finally have grown up. You're my child. This is so cool. My mom's 90, right? My mom's 90 and still emailing and calling. But what I want to say is what I learned slowly. I got very emotional. It's who I am. But I learned who I needed to become. And I needed to let some of the loss go. So it was absorbing my life. And some of you know my story. It's pretty tough. As a friend said to me last year, hey, dude, you just had a really bad decade, man. And it's true. I've had a really bad decade, but both Anthony and Andrew, in their own way, instilled some confidence in me that I was lacking. I would sit there 5 days a week and just look out the window. I would.
Yeah.
Because I wanted direction. I knew I was capable, and yeah, I have more people in my database than most people would ever want to know. And I'm lucky and blessed in that way, but I didn't know how to harness it. I am only now starting to harness it because of the inspiration, the guidance, the tutelage, and the care given to me by these two men.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to heal. It doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to get better in a week. I know everyone subscribes to a quick fix in this business. It's really scary how many people are willing to throw more money at a problem and not fix themselves first. That's what these two guys teach, is fix yourself first. And I believe I'm finally I'm in bold. I'm making some bold personal moves and jump for it. Coming here, which is something that I didn't believe was possible in my lifetime. I didn't think I would fit in here, even though I grew up in a very wealthy community in Chicago. I didn't think I'd fit in here because this is 90210. I watched the show. I watched that show. So, but all I want to say is if you want to find yourself, if you're willing to do a little work, you will find that, yes, it's the Howard Stern of real estate. And I want to give props to Anthony Rollins, because every morning he plays a song that gets me, and I know a lot about music. That boy knows as much about music as I do. And yet I spent 40 years touring with over 100 bands. So I know music, but he inspires me. I wait for the song, and then the song comes up. I'm like, yes.
So you're gonna ask.
Well, okay, so I do have plenty of experience, and what I find, I've also had my own brokerage and hired other agents, and what I found that the most successful agents are exactly what you said. They're coming from a position internally of love, and they genuinely want to help people. And what I saw was a lot of turnover and people that came and left and said, I just can't deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. It's too hard. Is because they got into it with a number in their head and they said, well, I'm going to get into real estate because I want to make a lot of money. And that is wrong. So you have to get into it. Yes, there's a lot of money in real estate. We all know that. And we love that. But if you don't love real estate and you don't love people and you're not a people person and you don't know how to build a relationship, a real one from your heart, and you don't genuinely want what's best for your client, you will drop out. You might make a few deals, but then you're going to hate it because it's hard work. It's not easy. You're going to hate it and you will drop out. It is a people business, and selling real estate is not really real estate. You're selling a lifestyle. You're selling a home. You're selling a life. Your home is your life. So if you can't understand that, and if you can't sell that, I don't think you'll make it. You have to
It's
come.
creating value for others. And if you're in it for the money, then you're right. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, I am teaching a class on Facebook ads on the new ads campaign and command on Wednesday, the 20th. I don't know the time, but
Okay, that's.
And I just want to say that, fear and scarcity are real, right? Having to pay your car payment and food on the table and mortgages, all this stuff is really real. It's really easy to get into this business or be in this business and be faced with adversity. It's really, really simple. It's easy to have a lot of fear and have a lot of doubt and have a lot of stress and have anxiety and have scarcity in your life. That's normal.
Did you used to have anxiety?
Well, I had tons of anxiety and stress and learn, you can suppress your anxiety and stress very easily, right? Like it's very easy to be an uber successful narcissist. It's simple. Just don't care about your own feelings. If you don't care about your own feelings, because you can't afford to breathe, you don't have the time to breathe, you don't know how to breathe,
and you just start suppressing your emotions and you suppress all of the toxic shame and guilt and all of these things in your life that you experience, you can succeed at a really, really high level for a while. At some point, you're gonna hit some kind of a brick wall, right? At some point, something's gotta give, right? So, but anxiety and stress are real. So, you know, what I learned when I got into this business, but I never learned, there was never a model for it, is, you know, we hear this cliche of put the oxygen mask on yourself first. But where's the oxygen mask coming from? Where do we go get that oxygen mask? And, you know, it's interesting because it's in the MREA. The energy plan is in there. It's on the pages in the MREA, but that's not what we're looking for when we read the book. We're looking for a path to make $1 million, right? We're not looking for the plan that Gary Keller gave us to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. And I shared that with Gary. I said to Gary, I said, you know, there really should have been 5 models. The first model should have been personal development, if you will, right? And Gary's like, I agree with you. It is who you become. It is who you become. And putting the oxygen mask on yourself first is mastering the polyvagal theory, nervous system regulation, learning how to self-regulate your nervous system. And I'll tell you that, like, you know, you do it with your little guy. You guys get together and you do these videos and you know, there's, when you learn, it's like, it's the language of self-love. It's this self-love and self-care. It's just something that, you know, we don't necessarily know how to develop that and how to get that. Once you realize that there is a model and there's a path for that, and there's a way to create that, and it's a daily practice. Like lead generation is a daily practice, self-care and self-love is a daily practice. Because as soon as you're done practicing, something's going to happen and take you off track, and you've got to get back on track, right? You've got to have the tools and resources to know how to get it realigned.
It's just like the battery in your phone, right? We charge our phones all the time to make sure they're ready to go. But how much time do we spend charging ourselves? Because we're always on the go.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
So plug into these guys, their thing, and we'll have you guys, he's gonna teach, and you'll see that. And then we'll have these guys back regularly, and they're gonna, you know, continue to become a bigger and bigger piece of the fabric of this office.
And I mean, and if you want to grow your business from, like, if you have no money.
And if no other reason, read the MRA book if you haven't got that message.
Right.
You know, that's free, yeah.
What's that?
Greg
Yeah. Greg Hagel.
Is that advertised on Good Morning America?
And the evening.
Yes.
It is.
And I'll let these guys stay. I just want to be mindful of everyone's time. You guys are absolutely.
Guys, we have 3 headshots in this room right now. They're gonna set up. You don't have to RSVP, so you can show up and get your free headshot.
Like maybe a quick picture.
Yeah. See the face. That's true. Maybe I'll take it. Yeah, why not? Let me see the back. Good? Love to hear it.
Maybe not.
We're outside on the balcony.
I'm walking outside.
What's been new? How's your Labor Day?
Coming week, you know.
A hard stop.
I got some good rest yesterday.
But I'm not.
Here in this room. I'm curious about, I have a lot of people who want to say something. Like tips for the 2 and 3 million range.
And then I thought I had it, but
I know what you were talking about.
work and it's like, hey, that's okay, next time, we may go out of town. Cause she's sorry, and her birthday was.
We can go together.
I called first. I'm just joking.
Working it out. Oh,
Thank you, Alex. How to make it your phone.
You gotta make it.
But I'm VIP.
I'm Robert. I wandered down from Caldwell.
Nice to meet you.
Robert Townsend.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have anything else, let me know. Or if you change your mind and pull out, let me know and I'll sign that one for you.
Oh,
Where's that?
And why not? Yeah, exactly. There we go. Perfect answer.
How'd you find the photographer? How'd you find the photographer?
So he actually did, we met with him actually at C21 out in Norwalk.
Oh, got it. Masters?
Yeah.
Real Masters. Oh, cool. And I'm Jimmy, by the way. Hi.
Herschel, nice to meet you.
What is this gonna be?
I love his action. Plus he does asking photography as well.
Oh, no kidding. Wow, very neat. Yes.
Do you have like a green screen? I want to look like I'm in Hawaii.
I can do that, I actually could. Let me sell you for your next home and I'll take it to Hawaii.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, so I told him, I was like, let's set some stuff up. You guys are my. Ben, I've known.
Oh, very good.
He's really. I was gonna say something.
It's on next to give up more hands on the stage. It's like.
I need all types of Photoshop. I need like a dinosaur, like I'm riding in on a dinosaur.
But it's all on you.
I want him to be my realtor.
This is why you came in dressed like this? That's what I said. Are you doing on a music video?
I didn't even know about you, man. I started looking at your Instagram. It's just a habit, you know? Yeah. I still do it. Zero was in high school.
I'm Jerry. Herschel.
Nice to meet you. I was an official in
Yeah.
It wasn't like a.
Thanks for speaking earlier. I'll get that,
I was like, all of a sudden.
That's on next Tuesday, your social media.
Yeah, next Tuesday will be cool.
10 a.m.
And at 10:30. And
They
then,
actually gave us some homework next week. Married
Yeah.
7 years.
did you go, were you here today?
I was in there, yeah.
Yeah, so there's homework that was from today that we gotta show next week, or do you need more homework next week?
No, like you said today, but next week. Not homework, just said like to know this.
It's got like this 10-week AI.
Barn or something. You know this website, Barn?
Yeah, so we'll use like 12.
It's like an AI program.
You know, when you come, then we could.
It tells you like to ask questions and
All right, nice to meet you.
oh, stuff like that.
Hi, honey. So nice to
Just
meet you.
go deep and see what he thinks. I'm used about it.
Sylvia, nice to meet you.
But you can't replace human beings.
No, but
Even the
AI
most,
won't replace human beings.
no, I'm saying in general,
But people who know how to use AI will replace you. So it's like it's you that get on it or you don't get on it. Like that's my thought. Like my son's 10, like
He goes, what?
embrace it. Like it's another tool.
Someone told me next week you're doing tools of your taxes now, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it makes your life easy. You know?
this, that, and then like, they're saying like, you know, those people might be out like, not CPAs, but let's say like an H&R Block, regular guy that's not a CPA, that just kind of plugs it in the system that he has. There's people like, there's stuff to do it for you now, like.
That's why you gotta like make sure you provide service.
Yeah.
The thing that people know about lease is the you have to have insurance for every transaction, fine. But like, up until now, like, I use the same type
title person in life since the first deal. I was like, all right, so I used her, I asked somebody out to review, put her down.
Mhm.
Every deal after that, I just use her, like, that's it. I'm like, oh, my job's done.
Make it look easier, you know, and the waitresses, they're gonna be in trouble. I went to, whatchamacallit, I don't even know the name of the restaurant, but it's in the mall, I drove past it, or walked past.